Okay, so this is Bfree. It's an open source like trainer software that I have been developing since last winter. I'm not really working on it, or I'm not working on it so actively. I worked it on during the last winter, and now I've been working on it a bit more since the summer biking season is pretty much over here in Italy. And so why I'm doing this? Well, mostly because there aren't so many open source trainer software or apps available. There are a few like for native apps, I think mostly. And well, that's what is actually particular about this one, is that this is completely browser based and it's using web Bluetooth, and it doesn't support ANT+ because ANT+ there's no way to use it as currently on browsers. And so it's completely open source. It's on GitHub with the same name. The link is in the description. And yeah, it currently doesn't have so many features, but I'm of course implementing more and more, trying to get it more power with more commercial like apps. And as far as I know, this is likely the only one that actually runs on the browser. It looks like many commercial trainer apps do use React and something to run on the native app. I know in mobile they used it probably like, I don't know, React Native or something, but none of those actually to my understanding allows you to actually run it through the browser. You always have to install something. That is probably because they want to support ANT+. That is possible, like in Electron at least, to use ANT+, but then it doesn't work in browser anymore. Like you can see, I'm just here on bfree.versal.app and it just works. And it doesn't work in browser anymore. Like you can see, I'm just here on bfree.versal.app and it just works. Okay. So let's get started. So the app, how it works is that, well, like any app, we have settings here. You go to general settings, you get some sampling rate and speeding distance unit configuration. The sampling rate, it really depends what your sensors and trainer supports. Like this app supports, currently it supports smart trainers that use Bluetooth Smart or, well, BLE or whatever, like whatever works with your browser basically. And currently it only supports the ANT+ protocol over Bluetooth. That seems to be pretty much industry standard, even though not necessarily the best protocol to use in this kind of stuff. But that's currently what is the standard way, because the Bluetooth profile that was supposed to support trainers didn't get all the features that would have been necessary for cycling trainers, and it's more towards some other sports, but it just didn't work for trainer manufacturers. So Tax made their own hack that is using like a serial port on top of Bluetooth, and then they just feed almost unmodified ANT+ protocol into that virtual serial port or Bluetooth, and it just works. It's pretty good. But that is anyway like if you want the sample rate, of course, changes how many samples you're going to have per second in the final file that outputs that you can then upload to Strava or whatever service you are using. And you might need to, well, I think 1 Hz is pretty much okay for any trainer, but maybe some trainers could support higher frequency if you wanted, but I have only been testing with 1 Hz. Then we get, well, let's go to the sensor. Well, there is rider setup. I don't know, it's just, it's not exactly me, but it's just something that I feel in here to show it. And then we have bike settings, pretty much basic. Not all the information currently is used for calculations, but there is a reason for everything the app is going to ask you. It doesn't go to any cloud or anything. Nothing here goes to any cloud. Everything actually stays in your browser local storage. The only reason why this is hosted on the internet is just it's easier to start using it, not that I'm collecting any data. There's no analytics enabled for this. But the data that is being asked, most of it is already used for some calculations. For example, the trainers need a lot of data to do their generate correct load and calculate whatever it's giving you out. And then, and also the wind resistance needs some information from the bike as well. I think also maybe from the cyclist, possibly. And well, all the calculations just need some data to really work. And yeah, now let's go to the sensors. So here, this is where the magic happens. Here we can connect to the trainer first, if it works. For some reason, browsers are pretty slow to find the devices. Every browser that I have tried. So we connect to the pair with the trainer. It takes a while. Now we can actually calibrate it. Well, okay, it currently says it's already calibrated because I just did it already. So we don't need to do it now, but you can calibrate it and it works because the calibration is just a routine on the trainer. It really doesn't require much client-side stuff. The only thing is that if it fails, then the status of the trainer might be uncertain and it needs to be reset, which is not implemented yet here. But, well, I have never seen it would get into such a state that it wouldn't work anymore. You can usually just try to calibrate it again, and it actually works better here than with some of the commercial apps that I have tried, where I just need to disconnect or turn off the power of the trainer to make it work again, which shouldn't happen. Then we can connect the power sensor, I think, yeah, because it's a separate sensor, or it's shown as a separate sensor as well as from the trainer. Like this is now a Bluetooth power sensor, whereas smart trainer part is giving the power through the Unplus protocol, but this particular trainer also gives me the power through Bluetooth directly with the Bluetooth power sensor profile. Well, I don't have a speed and candidate sensor here right now. I do have a speed sensor. Well, yeah, okay, this is the same thing. I actually have a physical speed sensor, but it isn't on my front wheel. But we can again use the sensor from the smart trainer. I'm not sure if this is going to make any change to the results. Well, other than that, I have seen some bugs when I'm taking measurements over the Plus protocol. So in that case, it could make some changes that give us the correct numbers, but otherwise there shouldn't be any effect on the data collection. Then yeah, actually many of these sensors you don't need to pull them, they just usually send you the data. So then the collection interval that we had in the setup, that is only going to affect mainly how many times per second the files are stored. So it's like asynchronous. It's not totally accurate, but it's the best we can really do with this kind of asynchronous sensors that are connected wirelessly. But it's probably good enough for exercise and any kind of sports. You didn't really need super real-time data because human don't work like that. So cadence sensor I have separately here, and okay, now the trainer is showing up there as well. It tries to estimate it, but I don't think it's so reliable. So I have a separate BLE cadence sensor here that we can use. And then the heart rate monitor, that showed up fast, so we just connected. Okay, and everything seems to be working. And it even shows the battery status for some of the, or the sensors that do support battery status. And we're good. Even though it's like half, it's maybe 87 to 60%, I don't know, it will last for months still. These sensors. And okay, now the measurement step. This is pretty important actually, because like some sensor might have bugs, and sometimes the sensor might not be able to give a reliable results, and or might not give anything maybe, or it just drops the data or whatever. And we need to be able to like guess if we are, or somehow determine. Sometimes even some sensor profiles actually might even tell you if the data is reliable. So what we're doing here is that we select the priority of which sensor to use first, of many we have, and the best idea would be to select the most reliable, but of course you don't necessarily know what is the most reliable sensor you have. But here I know, like I said, I know that the trainer is not a reliable source. So I first take the speed sensor that, well, it's still the trainer, but it's different protocol. So I know the BLE profile for this particle trainer usually works better than what I'm getting over, and plus, for some reason, it just misses some of the ticks somehow. Maybe it's a purpose, or maybe not, but I haven't been able to figure out how to make it reliable, so this way it almost always works correctly. And then, okay, even power sensors can sometimes give you speed information. I don't know how they calculate it, probably from the parameters you give to the sensor. And speed and cadence sensor, of course, does it too, but we don't have it here. And now it shows me the primary sensor or source here, and then cadence. Well, in this case, I really just want to take the cadence sensor. I had it before a sensor that wasn't reliable. It was dropping or giving zeros. That is a common issue with like giving zeros even when you're actually pedaling. And different trainer apps have different, and also like GPS devices for cycling computers have different ways to fix the issue. But I have not implemented anything to fix it yet, because actually my previous cadence sensor just failed completely, so now I have a new one from Garmin that is pretty reliable, so I just don't use anything else here. I could use the trainer maybe, but what's the point, because that is just a calculated value. It's not, well, it's probably somewhat accurate maybe, but there's no reason to do anything like that. Then the power source. We can just do this. I'm not sure if again the Ant Plus is here, reliable here, but it's the same device, and if you use the BLE the first priority, I think it's pretty good. Probably won't even fall back to the other one. And that's all the configuration you need to do, or you don't need to do it every time. Only the connection. Currently, it's actually not possible to automatically connect the sensors. It was part of Web Bluetooth draft, but the current standard I believe, doesn't allow you to actually even ask to connect previously seen devices. It's just there is just it just doesn't. I think it might be a function where we're able to give them information, but it just doesn't allow the browser just doesn't show any dialogue or any. There's no way. It just doesn't do anything. The only way is to go there or have a connect button or something. Maybe one way to solve this, I could have like a model in the startup here that would ask you if you want to connect the previously connected sensors, but you still would need to select every sensor manually from the list that it shows in the left corner on this browser. And there is no way around this in the current browsers, at least as far as I know. Like, even the standard requires it to work like that, which is a bit bummer, because it makes, well, in this use case it's pretty okay, but consider like if you would have a web app that like de-encodes or decrypts music or videos, and then you would want to feed the audio or even video or Bluetooth to some device, and it's not a very good user experience if you need to ask the user to select the correct devices every time the page is refreshed. Because now if I would refresh this page, I would lose the Bluetooth connections permanently. Possibly I could, yeah, I think I could maybe, no, actually, I was thinking maybe I could have the connection on the workers, but now if I recall correctly, it is forbidden now in the latest standard version, and at least the current browsers do not allow it anymore, so I cannot even have a worker that would have the connections there all the time. That would be a pretty nice solution as well, or maybe not so nice, because then if I would disconnect the sensors, then I would have to ask permission again. But if I would not disconnect, or if I would not disconnect the sensors, what would happen is that it would drain out the battery of my sensors pretty fast. Well, not so fast, but if I would leave the sensors connected for days, well, if I keep the tab open or something. So there is really no way around this, not nicely. But it would be still nice if I could, even if I would accidentally refresh this page, it wouldn't lose the sensor. Currently I think it's good enough that I can at least save the data, that if I was recording and everything crashes, all the data will be available in the local storage of the browser anyway. But I just cannot continue the ride. Some commercial apps do have a continue ride option, and they actually do, of course, reconnect the sensors and so on. Well, usually automatically, but it depends on how bad it crashes in my experience. So there are many things with this kind of apps that will never be perfect if you are using a computer. Maybe a dedicated device could possibly work better in some conditions, even though it's still running just a normal like Linux or some other operating system. But still, user interface would be more dedicated to just this purpose. So previous rides we can check later. We got the ride, and here there are currently, well, you can see 3 modes, but there are currently just 2. Virtual ride is something that I might be working in this winter, during this winter. The idea is basically the same as Swift and almost every other app supports riding with some video or even 3D rendered stuff. I'm not interested in the rendering stuff. I think what I want to do is to just use videos here, and I think the best possible hosting platform for videos would be YouTube, but I'm not sure if I can make it that way, because you need to slow down and speed up the video depending how you pedal. So that remains to be seen. But technically, it should be pretty easy, at least in HTML5, if I get the video stream, or if I can just touch the stream directly, then I can just change the speed, because that is supported and there's not so much to do. Look, then I need, of course, the like some data for the trainer that is usually like recorded on a real road, of course, while using the camera. Usually, like cameras that are made for this purpose can record GPX or something that you can use to create in specific, like a Garmin, for example, has their own video editing software that can output to you the correct XML file that has the road profile and all the stuff there, and then the video perfectly synced to that, at least to the extent that the actual camera can do it. And it should be pretty easy. The XML is really easy to parse. I have already worked on the parser side of that. I think I can pretty much parse it already. So only the video player is really missing, because otherwise it's just basically it's just power control. I can even, like, depending what the data actually contains, but probably I need to calculate or sorry, it's not power control, it's just slope control, because the smart trainer supports slope and wind speed and stuff like that. So I just tell the trainer the slope, and I tell what kind of road it is. Sometimes the metadata might even contain the road information that can make the trainer sort of feel a bit more real. Not so much, but maybe there is some difference to it. And then the wind speed, I've never tried it, but it sounds interesting. But I don't think I've never seen a camera that actually records it, so then it would be just a user control. But anyway, I have the slope control part, of course, implemented already in the software, because you have the free ride mode here that supports basic resistance. So this is like a traditional percentage of something, and well, you get something. It's either harder or easier to pedal, and then power control, that is just plain power. There's nothing else to it. Just adjust the power and from slider, and that's it. And then there is the slope control mode, where you can currently select the rolling resistance, or rolling resistance coefficient, and that's all. Technically, I could also support wind resistance here. What would be pretty interesting would be support Ant Plus, or in this case BLE fans that actually give you some data from how the fan is running, or the other way around. You can also feed the wind speed to the fan, and then it would blow you the same rate as seen on the real scene where the video was taken. Now, do you want it to be exactly the same conditions as in the video or something else? I don't know. I have never really seen that. I just know that the technology exists already in the market, but I've never seen anybody using it. Possibly some professionals might use it, but usually this kind of video trainers and these are more consumer thing. It's not so, like, it's not. I don't think it's so interesting for professionals. To my understanding, it's not so interesting for them. So I think it's more a consumer thing. So it remains to be seen how this or these things will evolve in the future. So I don't want to go to the free right now. Instead, the new mode that I've been working on is the workout mode, and now this is basically you can how it works. It's nothing like ever seen before, sort of in these kind of apps. It's instead what it does is that you write a JavaScript script that receives events from the, basically based on the hertz or the rate that you set up in the config. You receive events that contains time, distance, speed, and maybe something else. I don't remember exactly. And then based on those maybe there's heart rate as well, and other stuff. And based on those things, you can then decide how you want to control the trainer. You can send first of all, not only control the trainer, but you can send messages to the user, do splits and stops to the ride, and then you can use basically power and slope to control the trainer. You can even change it during the ride. It doesn't need to be only a power train. You can also change it to slope if you want during the script. And I think there might be even real use cases for this kind of stuff. I think Tax, for example, does do this kind of control in some of their trainings. So the only difference here is that actually I don't know how Tax does it. I don't know how you script new trainings, or how their own trainings are scripted. But here you can just use JavaScript uses send messages. And okay, the keyboard is pretty small. But here you could, okay, well, I broke it. Here you could see the train profile if I could enter the numbers here. Okay, so this I can change 2 of the parameters and the third is calculated, and then I see the profile here. What would be good to add here would be the default labels, because maybe some trainings even don't or don't even have or how could I say it, like some trainings you can just run forever and then you stop when you want, and some trainings like FTP, it actually stops when it happens to stop, whatever conditions are those. Usually it's like time or distance, but you can also have some other conditions where you stop training, like heart rate or something. So it would be nice to show here the defaults that the training would, or the workout script would provide, or the configuration may be here, somewhere here. So this is, I'm going to save this now, but then there's only now one, but the idea is to have more pre-programmed workouts that might even use some of the data from the configuration that you give or otherwise generate stuff for you. For example, now we have this FTP test here. This actually uses your previous FTP and other stuff from your information to calculate you the perfect FTP test according to some. It's really traditional FTP test here. It would be nice if this would go to the top, press here. Anyway, it doesn't, so yeah, and that is why you can download the current code if you press the middle button there, down there in the middle, and it will generate the script, but you cannot edit it because it's actually generated when you go to this tab. And well, this is now really testing because I haven't tested this even once, never run the code before. So that is why I'm streaming now, because I'm going to test this FTP test. And yeah, if it doesn't work, then I need to go to Freeride and do something there. But let's see what it does. So this is the main recording screen, I call it, in the ride mode. And you have time and distance in the left corner, and in the middle now it's saying loading. This is where the control is. Now there won't be much in the workout mode. It will just show the messages if the script is sending messages there. Nothing else normally. And this FTP test of course will stop automatically, so I don't need to press the end button or split. Actually, I should maybe use the split here because the script is doing splits to calculate the FTP. And the idea is that FTP test will then give the results in a format that I will show later. I don't remember if I implemented it or not yet. Maybe it doesn't even work because I haven't tested it at all. So then we have the all, like, I wanted to keep this interface as simple as possible. There's as little possible data seen currently, and I think that is fine. Like, if you typically don't analyze what they're doing, at least I don't. Maybe some professionals can do, but well, I'm not a professional. I'm more of the consumer type. So I just want to see as little as possible on the screen, only the most important stuff, and then I can do whatever analysis later. And actually, I want to be using my own app, but I'm probably going to do it in Strava normally. So I don't need so much data to be shown on the screen when I'm riding. It could be even less than this, but this seems to work fine for me. So, as I instructed, started it, and application error. Okay, so we are not going to do this. So we go to sensors, let's see now. Yeah, we are still connected. Everything seems good. So we go to ride mode, free ride. Let's take slope ride. Slope ride hasn't been working perfectly, at least last year. I've been mostly using power mode, but the slope needs to be working later on. Anyway. Okay, so we're here. We started at 5%. Yeah, this is an interesting issue. Trainer is making a lot of noise here, and I'm not quite sure why. I think it's just sleeping. Somehow the trainer is sleeping. I don't know if it's tired or if it's my app, but on commercial apps, I haven't heard the sleeping noise. I don't know if they control the train in a different way, or if maybe I haven't tried now for a while, so maybe the tire is just going out, or the trainer is dirty. I don't know, but there is this strange sleeping noise. But otherwise, the slope actually feels pretty much correct. I don't know, maybe if I put higher slope, what happens then? Yeah, there is definitely something wrong, because now it's just sleeping somehow. It feels the same slope as before, actually. Pretty much. So I'm thinking perhaps I'm okay, and this broke completely. The text is now wrong, but so possibly I'm sending something wrong over NTN Plus protocol. So let's actually see what I got here. Yeah. So everything went wrong here, because this should be this shouldn't be with T. It's a test, and it was the FTP test, even though I wasn't running the FTP test now. So go to free ride again and into the power mode, which I know to be working. Still sleeping, but now I'm actually getting the more expected power here. So maybe I have something wrong with my tire as well. But well, there's something else wrong with this slope mode. Anyway, it just didn't change at all. It's also possible that going to slope mode breaks something here. And the sleeping continues. I don't really know. I don't think it was sleeping so much as now doing previously. Very interesting. Okay, the sleeping is going away now. Maybe it was just cold, but I know that quite like the slope mode also causes some sleep for whatever reason. And like I said, the control just doesn't seem to work properly. Okay, I'm going to stop here because I want to see if you're getting the right results. Yeah, now this is what we should see here. I can change the name, I can change the note here. I can export the TCX file here. And then I can upload the file to Strava, which will then, well, see it as a normal file. There's something weird with that. The only issue, there are two issues. I cannot have Strava integration without my own server, because Strava doesn't allow a single page app that doesn't have a server side. Or the client side is kind of directly to Strava for whatever reason, so they always require a server just authorized. And I don't think I want to do that. So at least currently, this is the only way to export it manually. It's also possible to export the file here from previous ride by downloading here. Works just fine. And go to the power mode again. And yeah, the trap is updating a bit weirdly, it's jumping in time somehow. But that is not something that I'm able to control because I'm just using, I don't remember which library that creates this stuff, and there's really nothing that I could do to fix it. It actually gets better now that there's more data. Possibly some newer version of the library would fix it. Yeah, actually the library is called Amiibo, and I'm not using the latest version because the latest version was somehow broken with Next.js, I think. But eventually I think I need to figure that out. I don't know if it's going to fix this exact issue, but it's almost better probably to keep things up to date in this kind of project. Put a bit more power. It's a shame that the FTP mode didn't work, but I was sort of expecting it because I have been only testing that the user interface starts correctly, but I haven't tested the script because the only way to test that the script runner or workout runner works is to actually feed data to it, and I don't have any mocking system for it currently. Or it would be nice for testing to have like a mock trainer to feed some fake data and test all these things, but it's something that I haven't had time to work on. But if I would have such a thing, then I could also test these exercises, workouts more easily without actually doing this. It's a bit pain in the ass to change the clothes and start testing, and almost impossible to debug and touch the code while I'm here on the bike. I've been wondering how commercial apps or app developers do this. Do they have some turns and they have someone testing, and probably they also have some mocking and test scripts, but they also do have to actually test everything really works. And this is, well, the final test anyway, so it needs to actually test the things with the real bike and trainer and sensors. So to show some of the features, we have a split here, which also starts a new graph now. It could also make a marker, but I feel that it's better to just start a new graph instead, because if you're cycling for like 2 or 3 hours, everything on the screen will be so smaller, any changes will be impossible to see anymore. So, well, okay, other ways, of course, just roll the graph. That is actually more common to do. But then I cannot, if I do that, then I cannot see, of course, again, what happened during or between the splits. I don't know, maybe it could be configurable. No, it's just like this. I'll be feeling fine with this way. But or maybe there could be even a button or toggle button to change between. But currently I'd be fine with having just this. Normally I would see everything on the screen, but now the resolution is a bit smaller for streaming, so I don't. There's a pause button. It's just, of course, it does the same thing as when it starts. It's on pause, and it will show you a timer here. How long have you been on pause? This seems to be a feature in every major trainer app. I'm not recording during the pause. Typically, apps and devices do not do that. Maybe some do, but I don't see any reason why I would do that. If I want to record and have a pause, then I just do it. I need to press a button for that. So the whole app works in browser. It's it's using Next.js as a framework and a couple of libraries for the user interface. And the Bluetooth part I just read myself, as well as for the XML parsing and exporting and runner and controllers. The only thing is that you need to, for the Ant Plus, you need to get the free membership to get the documentation, but otherwise there's nothing you need to pay. Bluetooth specs are just free to grab. You just go to the SIG's website and download the documentation. It's just a bunch of PDFs. Very confusingly written though. It looks like maybe the manufacturers who make these standards tried everything in the hardest way they can imagine, split it into multiple documents. So if you are a developer, you need to download like 3 different PDFs for the same Bluetooth profile and combine the information on paper or something, and to understand what you need to do and how it is supposed to work. And it is probably just to obfuscate things, so just make the competition maybe harder, because there are only few companies involved in the standardization, and then the few others that are not participating are trying to read these documents. But, well, I managed to decrypt everything as possible. I'm doing some mistake with the slope control, but there is Ant Plus. And actually Ant Plus documentation is really good. So, I cannot blame whatever group it was that is working on Ant Plus standard. That is brilliant documentation. It's just probably some multiplication or something that I'm doing wrong somewhere, or some scaling. But as you can see, the power mode works perfectly. Well, of course the smart trainer itself, but also the controls that I can do here, it's really working nicely. Maybe I will need a plus and minus buttons here instead of slider, but otherwise it's really nice. And the data logging from the sensors is pretty smooth. Interesting, I didn't know that there doesn't seem to be any way to see the live stream info while I'm doing streaming on the computer, and even though I have the studio app and YouTube app on my phone, I cannot see anything here. I can see the real-time status analytics, but I cannot see live chat or anything. And I don't see it in my live videos at all, or the stream. Weird stuff. Would expect that YouTube would have a multi-screen or whatever you would call it, so they can do the stuff. I know so many YouTubers do have a second or third whatever screen connected on their computer, so they can see the live chat and stuff. But if you are, let's say you are streaming directly from a camera or something, how do you access the live comments then? Like, I don't know how many cameras you supported. Like, I think JVC does have some ENG cameras that support streaming protocols that YouTube is using for live. So you could, and I think they even say that you can do that, and maybe there are like monitors that do that, so like what is live view or something that can stream directly if you have SIM card. But actually, yeah, I think they had the live chat on the device, which sort of sucks because well, if you had a professional camera and you're streaming with this device, you would think that, oh, maybe there's a cameraman who is looking at the streaming devices, and then the actor or talent is in the front of the camera and not seeing the comments or being able to reply or anything. And also, like, Blackmagic now has a new web presenter that can stream directly to YouTube, but maybe they had their own app where you can see all this stuff, or was it that you can connect a monitor or something? But still, it just makes more sense to be able to use a second screen for this stuff. So yes, this app really runs smoothly with third-party mode. I think I have tested this for hours-long rides. Yeah. It's never crashed in this mode. I just need to fix the other modes and all the stuff. Eventually, I think I'm most interested in creating a workout scripts, and then even more interested maybe in the video mode, personal training mode. Not that it's really good training necessarily, but as a consumer, I just feel it's a great thing to have during the winter when it's raining and cold outside, especially like here on the mountains. It might even snow during the winter, so being able to go there virtually with this app would be pretty nice. It's not really professional training, but neither I'm a professional. That's not to do. Having nice and fun things. And even better if it's open source and I'm working on the project myself. I think I'm going to cut here. It's now a bit over 20 minutes of cycling. It's just almost static power. Not a great exercise, but a good demo of the current features of this app. So, I'm not sure if this is going to work. But what I want to really hard to type this small keyboard. I'll make it bigger. There's no way. Yes. Why change the text to taco? No, what I want to try is that it wasn't previously working. If I change this info notes, this wasn't written correctly to the XML file and Java couldn't see it. But now I have fixed that. It should be in the XML file, and I don't know exactly if Java accepts the notes and title from the XML file, but if they do, it's pretty nice. And I also recently made this to auto-generate the activity name in a way similar fashion to what Strava does, but with just actually using browser features. Not like I'm actually formatting the text. It's funny, it's just a feature in browsers or JavaScript. So we exported. We go to Strava. And go to upload. Go if that's us to go. Yes, so I believe this is our file, the latest file. Yes, text training. File names are a bit weird, you know. Actually, I think I need to work on that. Now, select open. And no, it didn't import anything. No, it just generates their own text. Okay, well, then the fix I did wasn't so necessary, at least for Strava, maybe for some other websites or apps, I don't know then. Put some Strava's browser right now, so workout then. Now, I know that I'm using workout as a term differently in my app, but I believe this more accurate in Strava to have it. Why is it actually what's the right and not cycling? Yeah, but anyway, I think workout is more accurate. Strava. Then we save. And here we have it. Actually, you can also see the splits in Strava. I think that is a new thing that I have unbroken because, or maybe Strava has unbroken their stuff. Now you can see the splits here as well. I wonder if they also show the split reason, because it's important, for example, in the workout scripts where you can have like, it has like a, what do they support, like a distance or maybe even heart rate, or at least distance and time splits, which you can then use to calculate some automated stuff. I'm not sure if that's the purpose of the file format, but that's what is supported in the XML file format, in Garmin's file format. And anyway, I think there might be having at least you can have like some. Usually when you do a split, you should have like the average speed and stuff like that in there. But I think it might even support like comments as well. I wonder if Strava supports any of that. I think they do support. The average speeds and powers and stuff from the XML file if you provide those. But if those are somehow broken or not provided, then Strava will calculate their own versions. So they can do both. And also, like for the total ride, it's the same thing. If you provide the data, then they will use it normally, unless it looks suspicious to their algorithms. Then they will do their own calculation. It end up with the same, of course, normally. But in my case, I think my calculations are, of course, correct. And it looks correct if you don't know necessarily if this is calculated by me or them, of course. And I don't remember if Strava shows any errors nowadays. But yeah, this is Bfree. This is how it works. It's it's in GitHub and it's on that URL. Maybe I put the link to the actual app in the description as well. Typically myself, I'm not using it from that URL. I'm just running it locally because I'm developing it. And I might sometimes do some changes while writing, while it's pretty hard to do that still. And yeah, but it's there and I will keep it, or it's automatically kept updated basically on the URL, and it should be working. On the other hand, I might break it as well. But I'll try to keep it working. And that's that. Thank you. I'm stuck.